Okay, Ambassador, thank you for being on our show once again. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me as usual.
Thank you very much. So today we want to talk about political discontent. That seems to be holding sway, seems to be sweeping through Africa, so to speak. We have recently seen, well, even though it happened in 2019 in Sudan, the army taking over from al-Bashir there. And then, of course, just a week or two now, we've seen it happen in Mali, where the people have protested and the mutineers have come and seized power from President Keita, saying that there was growing political discontent from economic discontent. It appears that we are seeing these kinds of things in South Africa, in Kenya, and even in our own country, Nigeria, where people are dissatisfied with the political systems and the economic situations that they are facing. And I'm afraid, I'm worried whether COVID-19 has come to aggravate an already very difficult situation of serious political discontent, and wondering where that is likely to take Africa to. Not quite 60 years, maybe about 60 years since a flurry of African countries gained independence, looking for political freedom to lead into economic freedom and economic prosperity. It appears that's not happening. Growth rates very low, now aggravated by COVID. So question is, as an international expert, as an expert on Africa and the world, where do you see this going? Are we entering a phase where the political discontent is likely to be more serious and to lead to untoward situations, or is this just a passing thing that we're experiencing, Ambassador?
Well, look, it's difficult to say whether this is a passing phase or whether we are in a serious situation. But the fact still remains that, yes, the conditions all over the continent is bad. And to your statement, COVID has revealed the underbellies of our economic development. And so if you go back, for example, to the lockdown, particularly in this country and elsewhere, you remember that at some point, less than a week or two after the lockdown, there was in some areas in this country massive, not demonstration, but people in some neighborhood gathering to go to certain estates to, well, I don't think they wanted to attack the people, but to compel them, force them to give them food to eat. These are the those who depend on their daily earnings to make ends meet or to provide for their family. So the failure and the inability of government to provide to make life comfortable for all this, and the arrival of COVID, the close down of the economy, simply revealed the fact that that we have not done enough in the last couple of years to really create security, create wealth and prosperity for the people of this country. And when you begin to look at the reasons are not far-fetched to find. There is political instability all over the place. There's economic instability and inequality. There is, poor governance all over the region. And in the case of Mali, also again, the insecurity, compounded the whole thing. So when you have all these, it becomes very difficult for the people, for their spirit not to be down. It becomes very difficult for them not to be dispirited and completely distrustful of government. Now, that condition makes it possible. Oftentimes, when you look back in the 60s and the 70s, for the military to see themselves as a savior.
So are there, since we're looking at Africa in general, Is there kind of like a remnant? Are there examples of a couple countries on the continent that the other countries can learn from, where there is not much discontent?
You know, when South Africa, let me put it this way. You know, in the 60s, for example, and again, sorry, no need to be sorry. In a couple of weeks, 4 weeks or thereabout, this country will be celebrating its 60th anniversary of independence.
Yes.
60 years ago, there was so much hope. There was so much expectation of this country. We were seen as, like the Moses that would lead this continent out of the nada of its underdevelopment of colonialism, and that, again, we were supposed to be the shining star.
Yeah.
That has completely disappeared. Similarly, when South Africa became independent, and I'm sure you remember very well the expectation, everybody was up in the moon, believing that, with South Africa, things are going, this is going to be the land of democracy, the Rainbow Coalition, and so on. That expectation has also disappeared in South Africa. So there's no country you can look at. Well, some people will point out to Rwanda. Some will point out to, I don't even know which country you can look at and say, well, some countries are doing a little bit better than others. But is there any country in this continent that you can look at and say that this is the shining star?
Yeah.
This is the country we need to emulate? As I sit here, I can't see that.
Because even the Rwanda we talk about, if you look at their economic situation, their GDP per capita is even less than that of Nigeria.
Precisely.
So if people are looking at economic buoyancy, if they're looking at prosperity, which they thought will follow after independence, obviously they are not getting it. So what are, if we have to identify some causes, some things, some handles, so we say, okay, we need to, since we can't run away from the continent, just abandon the place, what are the things that we can hold on to so we can reverse the trend if there is a negative trend? But what should, across the continent now, and you can bring it home too, but what are the things that we should, is it just a problem of the leaders? Is it not a problem also of the stock? Is it something that, I'm even at a loss as to where to go hold on to somebody. Because if you talk of the leaders come from the stock. Now, who is building the stock? So what should we look at? What are the things? Because we need remedies here. We need a solution.
There's no doubt about that we need a solution. But, I will still put the whole thing around the leadership.
Okay.
The leadership makes the difference. If a leader takes the right decision, inspires the people, mobilizes the people towards generally acceptable goals. Mm-hmm. If he defines that goal and everybody sees that they are working towards that goal, I think it's doable.
What will make him do that? Because apparently they are not doing it.
Look, yes, they are not doing it because of so many reasons. I always argue that, there's something that is so difficult to understand about our leaders, which might also be as a result of the fact that right from the military rule, the procedure, the recruitment process of recruiting leaders was destroyed by the military. The military itself handed over to a bunch of characters that they have trained themselves, at least in this country. And this is why you find that what we are going through can actually be traced back.
And I know the Ambassador, I want to thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Always wonderful to have you.